more than 116,000 homeless people in Australia, 8,000 of those sleeping rough tonight. Almost half of these are young people aged under 25. A new program is being piloted in Australia, repurposing disused car parks as temporary hotel rooms, providing not just shelter but dignity for people with nowhere else to go. Founder of Beddown, Norm McGillivray, joins us now live from Brisbane. Norm, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Jacinta. It's absolutely honoured to be here with you tonight on the show. Thank you.
This is a truly genius concept. What gave you the idea?
Oh, thank you for that first and foremost. So the idea really sort of stems from in August 2018, I was made redundant. And the first thing you do when you're made redundant is hit the job market. I applied for a lot of jobs, hit Seek, started getting a lot of dear norms coming through, and some people weren't coming back to me at all. And I'd just come out of a not-for-profit organisation, and I started to think, well, maybe now is a good opportunity for me to start a not-for-profit organisation, charitable organisation. Homelessness was close to my heart, and as you've mentioned, there's over 116,000 people deemed to be homeless. Of that, there's over 8,000 people sleeping rough every night across Australia, on concrete, on benches, in parks, under bridges. And of that number, there's hundreds of people that lose their life every year as a result of sleeping rough, from being attacked, suicides, overdoses, infected wounds, pneumonia, that sort of thing. And for me, here we are in 2020 now. This was unacceptable to me in 2018, and I wanted to do something about it. So really the journey of Beddown started then.
The idea of using disused car parks, how did that occur to you?
Yeah, so the idea around sort of activating and repurposing empty car parks at night really came to me after a few days of really thinking about what can I do in this space, because I don't want to replicate and duplicate all the amazing services that are currently out there. So if I was going to do something in this space, it needed to be something different, and it needed to have a meaningful impact. And that's where actually I hit a bit of a brick wall. I was like, well, okay, so what am I going to do? And after a few days of coming up with ideas that really didn't resonate for me, I thought, oh, I'm just going to take myself out for a coffee and go to the local shopping centre, which I did here in Brisbane. And look, I don't know if the planets just aligned on this particular day. I pulled into this shopping centre and the car park was virtually empty, and that's where the light bulb moment occurred for Beddown, right there.
This is somewhat of a personal crusade for you, isn't it, Norm? Tell us about that.
That's right, Jacinta. Really, the motivation behind Beddown really stems back to my childhood, and the viewers are going to pick up from my accent that I'm not a local boy to Australia. So we're back in the UK when I was a young fella. My mum and dad were happily married. My dad had a business. He was a shop fitter. He had a shop fitting business, carpenter by trade, and he was in his early 30s when he suffered a stroke, which left him heavily disabled. My mother was bringing up a small child at the time, which was myself. Now my dad was heavily disabled. This put a lot of stress and strain in the relationship, and they separated and got divorced. And my dad found himself on the streets of London. And to cut a long story short, at the age of 42, my dad suffered a heart attack on the streets of London, which took his life. I was just 11 years old at the time and helpless and powerless to do anything about it at the time. But here we are now in 2020, and now through Beddown, I've got the opportunity to help someone else's dad, someone else's mum, someone else's son, and someone else's daughter.
And you're certainly doing that. You provide your guests, and you do call them guests, with much more than a bed. It's really a shot at turning their life around as well. Let's hear from one of your guests, JJ.
So I've been on the streets for 22 months, and first time in a long time, I've been given food, a free shower, and people who actually have care and support. Thank you very much for having me.
What impact does it have on people like JJ?
Yeah, so Jacinta, we ran a pilot here in Brisbane last October, and I've got to say before that, I mean, Secure Parking, which are the largest car park operator here in Australia, have been absolutely amazing. The CEO, Peter Anson, he's an incredible human being. Yeah, we ran a pilot here and we had 41 guests come through during a 2-week period. JJ was one of those guests, as you've just played, and within a few days, one of our guests came up to us and he said, It's the first time I've had a dream in years. And when we heard that, we knew that we were going to be on to something quite special here in terms of restoring people's dignity, respect, self-esteem and confidence. We had another male guest that, after a consistent period of a good night's sleep, he had the clarity of mind to book himself into rehabilitation for 6 months. And one of our female guests, as she was able to sleep at night, she was able to get a job during the day, and she would come up to us with the biggest smile on her face and ask us to wake her up at 4:30 in the morning so she could start to get ready to go to work. It was really an incredible experience.
As you say, you've run a pilot in Brisbane and you've now pitched to the funding network so that you can hopefully roll this out for a pilot in Sydney and then nationally as well. There's no reason why this couldn't be replicated across the country?
That's right. I mean, the aim of Beddown ultimately is to bring it to as many of those people that are sleeping rough across Australia, all those 8,000 people. But look, we've got to be a bit slow and steady to begin with. We've got to perfect the model. This has never been done anywhere in the world before. So we're really breaking new ground here in Australia. And we've got to get the first few venues up and running, and we've got to prove out the model, and we've got to perfect the model before then we can actually scale and roll it out en masse. But ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to bring it to as many people as we possibly can.
Just quickly, Norm, this isn't just a temporary solution, giving these people, these guests, a good night's sleep. It also helps break the cycle of homelessness.
That's right, a big part of the Beddown model. And if I may, Jacinta, you know, one of our core foundations is it's about repairing the quality of life before building a life of quality. And what this actually means for a guest is, if we look at the first half of that very quickly, repairing the quality of life, wrapped around the premise of providing a safe, secure shelter to get a good night's sleep, we bring in and we collaborate with amazing organisations such as doctors and nurses, Orange Sky for laundry, dentists, social workers and counsellors. That looks to restore dignity, respect, self-esteem and confidence. Building a life of quality then is, how do we get this person into a longer term solution, and what does that look like? Education, training, employment, accommodation, rehabilitation, or a combination of all those factors.
It's a truly genius concept, as we said, Norm. Well done, and we look forward to seeing how far it goes.
Thank you so much, Jacinta. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.